Hi, everyone. Welcome to the National Bicycle Dealers Association's webinar this morning. This is Rochelle Scouten, Development Director. This morning we have Ryan Atkinson here from SmartEtailing, and we are very grateful to have him here with us. Ryan, take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rochelle. And thank you, Brandy. And thanks to the NBDA. NBDA has been a great partner to SmartEtailing for years, and we're really enthusiastic about every opportunity we have to work with their membership. But especially now, when a lot of small business owners really feel like you're on your own, solving challenges that you've never seen before. I think we can all be grateful that we've got a trade organization that is trying to consolidate resources and help provide you that backstop. So as somebody who, all I do is work with bike shop owners, I just want to say thank you to the NBDA for what you're doing. So the NBDA did ask that I put together kind of an online selling webinar. And, really without asking permission from Brandy, I decided to take a slight pivot. We're going to be talking about online selling, but we're really just going to be talking about the moment. And the reason is because as you see in your businesses, you're experiencing an unprecedented moment right now. I want to just keep us focused on getting through that moment. A lot of the things that we'll be talking about are going to serve you well through the summer, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But as things start to achieve some sort of a new normal, let's come back together and we'll talk about what's the plan that's going to get you through the summer and really help make sure you maximize market share. But for right now, let's just kind of get right into it. I believe most everybody who's going to be watching or attending is already a SmartEtailing customer, and thank you so much. But if you're not, just quick understanding of us. We were founded in 1999, exclusively providing websites for bike shops. That's still the case today. We have 60 employees, largely based out of Boulder, Colorado. We have been recognized as one of Outside Magazine's best places to work the last 2 years. It's a great team of people. It's a purpose-driven organization. All we do is help bike shops, and everybody here has been working tirelessly for the last 6 weeks, really helping dealers reconfigure their websites to serve their businesses. And I'll say that to a person now, we are very proud of the work that we've done. We have built a software infrastructure designed for this moment. As dealers didn't have a choice about the role that their website would play in their business. Society and consumers demanded change, and I'm very proud to say that our application handled that change well, and we're playing a very important role in dealers' lives right now. So if you're a customer, thank you so much for choosing us, and I certainly hope that you're experiencing us well. At SmartEtailing, our job is connecting bike shops, and that's connecting shops with buyers, with searchers, with the brands that they work with the warehouses they use to fulfill their products, with the services you use in the store, and ultimately with the future. And that's really what we're talking about now is, the consumer shopping is, changes that were already there are accelerating. And so these are the changes that have been in place. So SmartEtailing started in 1999. These numbers are broad U.S. Census numbers about the overall retail economy. But you can see that when my predecessors started the company, online sales and retail was a very marginal component of the economy. But over the last 20 years, that has changed drastically, and now, depending on your measure, it represents 10% of overall retail sales. And in all likelihood, this curve is going to steepen over the next 2 or 3 years. This is looking in the rearview mirror. This is 2019 sales results, but I want to put this up here because when we look later at results that retailers have had in the last 45 days, it's important that you know that that's not a pure anomaly. Retailers have been participating in that growth. There was overall a 27% increase year over year, and you can see that at the end of the year during the holiday season, that's when that growth was most pronounced. But this trend was already happening. It's really just accelerated. And that growth last year, it happened across all retailers. So the average retailer was up 48% in online sales last year. That top 1%, the people that are doing, frankly, over $1 million off of their websites every year. They grew at a lower rate, but obviously a very significant dollar amount. But that's important to point out, because historically a lot of dealers thought that, well, if I'm not in the e-commerce game, other people have already captured that business. And that's not quite true. Other people may have a head start, but if you align your goals with the activities that you take, you can certainly participate, and as it shows, at a higher rate than people who are more established. Order volume was up 21% across the whole platform, and revenue per visitor was up 8%. That revenue per visitor is very important to me, because what that is an indicator of website productivity. So we look at things like conversion rate and RPV is the number. When those numbers go up, it shows that the website is built efficiently. That's similar to in your stores if your conversion rate is high. You know, if you have customers coming in the store and walking out, it may be an indicator that you weren't adequately staffed for the day, your staff is spending too much time with customers, your store is poorly merchandised, any number of things like that. That's what we do on the website as well. Click and collect has been important for us to talk about over the last 2 years, and in 2019, this is kind of broader retail economy. Click and collect grew to represent a much greater percent of all e-commerce orders from this data source, but from another data source that was more targeted at kind of higher level e-commerce companies, because this is a company that provides fraud insurance. They said that these companies saw 20% of their online revenue coming from BOPIS or click and collect, whatever you want to call it. And most of you already know that click and collect has transformed in the last 45 days. It used to be walk up to the sign in the store or the customer service desk to get your order, but today it's pull up and let somebody put it in your trunk without you getting out of your car. And so curbside pickup has become the new normal for consumer shopping behavior. And this is on SmartEtailing websites going back to February of 2018. You can see the steady increase happening over time. Peaks, last year was when dealers really started to engage it more fully. That paid off at the peak of the summer selling season and at the height of the holiday shopping season. But if you look at those March 20 numbers, that's you got to figure that this trend really kicked in the last half of the month. So you got half of the month with low transactions, half with high transactions. I really look forward to seeing what the April numbers are, but I'm going to guess we're well north of 60% by the time April hits. So I want to use that as a moment to transition into COVID-19 and really what's happening now. So I cannot show actual dollars or orders. I've got some retailer privacy number or issues to honor here, but you can see exactly what happened mid-March. So this is you and your peers. This is selling more dollars, selling more orders, and on just kind of normal seasonal increases in traffic. There's been a 20 times increase in online sales, a 15x increase in online orders, and a 6x increase in that productivity. A lot of these numbers are driven by bike sales happening online. So one way that we look at this right now, it is not that all of a sudden consumers want to shop with pure e-commerce companies. It's that local restrictions and social distancing have required that for people to do local business, they need to use the website in order to access the product. And so in many ways, that chart that you saw with those rapid increases, what it represents is the cash register moving online, or a significant portion of your cash register moving online. So I don't want to mislead you and say that pure play e-commerce is going to be the key growth category for your business in the future. It will be an important growth category. The more important thing is it is an essential to make your business accessible to shoppers who are going to be concerned about social distancing. And we can talk about a little later what that kind of how long that might continue. So what's selling? If you do your own in-store sales reports, I bet you're seeing the exact same thing that we are. But this is what's selling online. Lots of helmets for adults and kids. We view that largely as an indicator that consumers are pulling dusty bikes off the walls of the garage and getting out and riding as families, and realizing that helmets don't fit, or they're old and dusty, or just clearly not safe, or they got lost in the last move. Whatever it is, this is people getting back out on bikes that they already owned. Lots of safety equipment as well. Lots of home repair, also an indicator of old bikes. The contact areas, the shoes, saddles, gloves. This is just all an indication of all of that old inventory that you sold over the last 10 or 20 years that is now getting back into production, for lack of a better word, is being worked on. It just reminds me of a turn of phrase that one of my good friends who used to run Penn Cycle, Bill Randon, he used to say. He said, my biggest competitor is myself from 20 years ago. And you might be in the same spot. If you sell high quality bikes, those bikes last for a really long time. Well, right now those bikes are coming back out into action, and you're selling support materials to kind of get them running again. Obviously, those are all upsell opportunities over time. Indoor trainers, no brainer. Largely smart trainers, just a real transformation in how people use trainers, how they ride. And then add-ons. So with the number of bike sales happening online, retailers have the exact same add-on needs that they had for an in-store purchase, and so we're selling a lot of that as well. In the bike arena, it's sub $1,000 bikes. It's hardtails, commuters, cruisers, hybrids, and of course kids' bikes. Just everything is flying out the door. And I know you're seeing it. I know you're worried about availability. We all are. I believe that SmartEtailing is as good a positioned as a partner as we can be, because as the supply chain stock starts to diminish, using the power of technology, you can at least connect your consumer with any product that is in stock through any of your suppliers, regardless of whether it's on your sales floor or not. And I think this is going to last for a while. I mean, everybody on this call is sophisticated enough to have monitored the news coming out of China in the first quarter about kind of how that impacted production. That's going to impact high volume bike order shipments that were scheduled to be received in May, June. And that's at a time when demand for those bikes far exceeded forecasts. So there's going to be availability issues. Some suppliers will be worse or better than others. But regardless, are you going to have the right bike on your sales floor at the time when a customer is ready to buy, when product velocity is this fast? It's tough to say. Using connectivity in your favor, selling out of supplier warehouses opens up more opportunities for you. So, with this kind of rapid change in system usage, we have put together an extensive help center. You can easily find the help center from your SmartEtailing login screen, or it's published on the web, so you can just Google it. But we've got an extensive resource center for COVID-19 with articles on e-commerce, curbside pickup. We even craft some email samples, ways to help you merchandise your website, everything we can to continue to make our self-serve platform as easy to use as possible, specifically for bike shop owners. From a technology standpoint, we did make a rapid pivot. So, as a technology company, you cannot be playing whack-a-mole all the time. You cannot just be, there are critical software bugs that need to be fixed as quickly as possible. Marginal software bugs you sometimes have to ignore. You can't build every new feature that every customer wants. So what you need to do is you need to have a committed, well-reasoned, long-term strategy and spend your software development money in an area where you think is going to deliver the most long-term value to your user base as a whole. So that's generally our philosophy, and that's why if you've been a long-term customer, you maybe don't see a lot of consumer-facing features coming out over the last couple of years. And the reason is because we've been investing behind the scenes on infrastructure. So if you've been a customer for a long time, you'll remember that 5 years ago, SmartEtailing websites would just go down, during the sometimes during the spring or December. That was a failure of infrastructure. We have rebuilt all of that infrastructure, and we've absorbed that massive increase that you saw without a blip. We've got 99.99% uptime, which is the gold standard in software. We've got steady server response times that are 400% faster than they were a year and a half ago. That work has paid off, even if it was behind the scenes. Back to this slide. When COVID-19 hit, we decided to put some of our long-term strategic plans on hold and shift resources towards some features that we felt would serve dealers in the moment. So the first thing we did is we released local doorstep delivery for bikes, so that you had a way for a consumer to select a shipping method. You could set the number of zip codes you could deliver to, you could set what you would charge, and it would make the transaction online relatively seamless, so you could keep bike sales flowing when consumers couldn't necessarily get to your store. We rolled out more payment options to reduce friction, added Apple Pay, Google Pay, and PayPal online financing. What we're working on now, and we expect, in software, you cannot necessarily commit to a release date because there's so much testing that needs to happen. But we have committed to an online service scheduler, which should be out soon. A filter availability by storefront, which is going to be a very important feature for multi-store customers. So what that means, if if you've got 5 locations and a customer is a mile away from one location, they'll be able to, instead of just click the in stock button to see all your stores, they'll be able to click in stock at location 1, which you'll be able to label, of course. And that way they know that the store nearest them does or doesn't have the product they're looking for. We're adding suggested items to bikes with the volume of bike sales happening and some of the operational demands it's putting on our customers. We're trying to push as many of the solutions onto the software as we can. With the heavy use of our dropship programs with Trek, QBP, and LTP Sports in Canada, we're making enhancements to those email notifications to customers in order to reduce the order management time for our retail customers and get just more information into the consumer's hands faster. And then we are actively building more financing options, because whereas PayPal is a nice solution, it is a distinctly third-party solution. And we want to, we're working on one that's more natively integrated with your website as well, which again is designed to get those bike sales flowing through your business. So we're going to shift into a little bit more kind of in the moment, but what hasn't changed. This slide, I have used it in the past, but your website is the hub for your digital marketing plan. You take action to drive traffic towards relevant online content, and then convert the sale wherever the consumer prefers. So there's kind of a lot in there, but so the website as a hub is critical. You know how you shop. You will, with the exception of nuts and bolts at the hardware store. Most other cases, if you're buying a consumer good, an electronic, an appliance, or something more specialty at a hardware store, you're going online first. And maybe you go to the brand website to do some research, but inevitably you're going to look at the retailer's website in order to determine, do they have what I want in stock, and is the price competitive? So you know that consumers are using your website that way right now. 60 days ago, the majority of those customers who saw you have the thing in stock would go to your store, walk in and say, hey, I saw you got this thing, and the transaction would close in the store. Well, moving to the last sentence, consumer preferences have changed. Now the consumer prefers to close the sale online, still most commonly for in-store pickup. So you got to split the transaction into 2 pieces. Where does the sale close? How does the consumer get the product? And your website is going to be an increasing place where the sale closes. So from a marketing standpoint, you want to drive traffic to your website. That way you capture the most broad set of consumer preferences around shopping. They're going to engage with the content anyway, but just don't link traffic to your homepage. If you're going to do outbound marketing, link traffic to the to the most relevant page to what you're referring to in the link. You know, uh, uh, electric bikes, electric mountain bikes, in stock and ready to ride. That click here. Well, click here should go to your electric bikes page, filtered by in stock. And the same could be said right now. If you don't have the bandwidth to do outbound marketing, and I don't think I really have much content in here, if any, about outbound marketing. If you don't have capacity, don't worry about it. You got a lot of business right now. View your homepage as your marketing vehicle. You know what's selling. I already showed you some of those lists. If you assume that a great majority of your customers visiting your homepage right now are looking for those things, make it super easy. Merchandise them front and center on your homepage. That is your marketing right now. It's reducing friction in the shopping process, getting people into your catalog faster. That's going to be your number one benefit to your business. I will add, one of those infrastructure investments that we made in the last year was a major, just a complete overhaul of the search functionality on SmartEtailing. So, I'm not thrilled with our catalog navigation. I've got barriers that prevent me from evolving it faster. But what I am happy with is search. And over 50% of customers who visit a website use search instead of navigation. So please be confident in your technology. Those customers who are using search, they're finding what they want. You spend a little time on your homepage making sure that you're redirecting people where you know they want to go right now. You can just Google SmartEtailing e-commerce playbook for that outbound marketing piece or any tips on how to do this better. It's all there. It's all documented. We're a self-serve platform. You can do all of this stuff. I won't push anything on you that is not within your capabilities. And then, of course, you know that you can delegate this. I do have I believe we're at 20 people still, but a 20-person team of marketers and we sell kind of what's called managed services, where we can either maintain or market your website for you. If you just need to delegate, delegate. But if not, use our playbook and you can do it yourself. All right, some tactics for the moment. So as is my nature, I already kind of talked ahead a little bit. So this is part of what I talked about earlier. But you don't have to maintain your website homepage every day. Every couple of weeks, go on and adjust. If this week you go on and you say, the best value hardtail mountain bikes found here. Well, in 2 weeks, you might not have that many hardtail mountain bikes, and you switch that to, best value beach cruisers. Steer people towards the product that you've got in stock to sell them, that you know that they're buying. That goes down to that merchandising popular categories. In marketing, it is a true gift when you understand your buyer personas right now. And your primary buyer persona is that person who's looking for some way to get outdoors, either by themselves or with their families, to get some fresh air and safe outdoor activity. You know what they're buying. So from a marketing standpoint, that is a gift. You know who you're speaking to and you know what they're buying. So get that on your homepage. And then align your settings with best practices. That e-commerce playbook I mentioned earlier, it has all of this in there. But what has happened, our system has a lot of what I call configuration debt. And what that means is an owner with our platform 5 years ago lost money on shipping a floor pump to a customer across town. And their reaction was, I'm going to turn off my shopping cart because I can't lose money on a floor pump. And that's an extreme example, but I promise you it's a distinctly real example. If there is a chance that you made decisions like that sometime over the last 5 years, well, that does not apply to the modern marketplace. So do an audit of your settings and make sure that put your consumer hat on. Don't put your business owner hat on that says, I need to protect my business from all risk. You need to put your consumer hat on and say, how do I make myself easy to shop with, knowing you're preserving as much of your profit dollars as you can. I'm not telling you to be unprofitable, but don't protect yourself from every edge case of profitability if it puts barriers in front of customers. You need to be easy to shop with right now. And then talk about your website. Your staffs are likely completely overwhelmed right now. So in a normal circumstance, you want as many customers in your store talking face to face so you can build your brand, give them the best experience possible. But today, you might not even be allowed to have customers in your store, but you certainly don't have time to help them pick the right water bottle cage. Get them to your website. When somebody checks out, remind them, hey, if you forgot anything today, remember you can shop online for free in-store pickup anytime. We look forward to seeing you soon. Do that. Just start kind of redirecting your customers to shopping with you online. That way your highly trained staff can be investing their time on the purchases that deliver more value to your business. So what should you be promoting beyond the products we talked about earlier? You want to talk, I'm going to use the word accessibility. Obviously, accessibility from an ADA standpoint means one thing, and I'll remind you that SmartEtailing's application is ADA compliant, but we do not have safeguards to prevent our retail customers from slipping out of ADA compliance. So you can choose to make a yellow button with darker yellow text on it. That is not ADA compliant, but the overall system itself is ADA compliant to the best standards that are out there, which of course are not actually formalized. But for this conversation, accessibility means how easy is it to shop with you? Consumers don't know anymore. All of a sudden, all the retailers that they trusted, everything's completely different. Best Buy, for crying out loud, you can't go in their store. You can only do contactless, curbside pickup. Communicate the options for a customer to shop with you. They can shop online 24/7. You offer contactless curbside pickup. You offer local home delivery on bikes within 5 miles of your store. You can set the price for it, and you offer home delivery on parts and accessories. You have a lot of customers on your email list that did not use your business that way before. Remind them of your capabilities. I believe our websites are a great value for what you get for them. The 50,000 pre-built content items, integrations with 40 different suppliers, a dedicated support team that all they do is work with bike shop owners to make your job easy. But I'm not blind to the fact that it's not easy writing a $500 check every month. Put us to work for you. Get the word out. Get this site producing for you, so it is a revenue positive investment after this crisis as well. From an operational standpoint, the calls I've been getting over the last couple of weeks are, Ryan, I'm exhausted. My phone is ringing off the hook. Customers have unreasonable expectations. They pull into my parking lot, they place an order on their phone, and then they call me and they ask when they can pick it up. Our entire world's got shaken up over the last 6 weeks. So what can you do? You can use some tactics that are common for software as a service companies, as an example, or to a more extreme extent, the cable company. But it's called ticket deflection, and a ticket is a customer contact. You want to offer personalized customer service where it is most valuable. You do not necessarily want your trained staff asking the same low-level questions day in and day, or just hour after hour, because that means they're not selling for you. So get a resources page on your website. Answer all the most common questions. Are the stores open? What are the operating situation? How long do I have to wait to hear about my online order? How long will it take me to get a bike? Just go to your staff, take 10 minutes and say, tell me all the questions you're getting on the phone, and then go type that up and put it on a page on your website, and start linking to it from your homepage. Then go to your phone system. Most phone systems allow you to add a greeting when somebody first calls. Thank you for calling Joe's Bike Shop. Press 1 for sales, press 2 for service. Drag that message out. Think cable company here. Go 60 seconds. You're trying to deflect phone calls, that are low value. Thank you for calling Joe's Bike Shop. Due to current restrictions on our business, please listen to this message for some important updates. Here's what's happening in our store. If you've placed an online order, here's what you can expect. Because of our high call volume, if please visit our website first for frequently asked questions. If you would like to talk to an expert, please press 1 for sales. Stretch that out a little bit and try to get your call volume down a little bit. Also, from an operational standpoint, it's follow up on bike orders. Most of you were selling 1 to 10 bikes a week on your website before. Last week you might have sold 30. You didn't have good processes around that. And so now you count on add-on sales for your business, but bike sales, you don't get to have that process with the customer. So what the best retailers are doing right now is they're monitoring their orders closely and processing them as quickly as they can. And if it's a bike sale, they're immediately following up with the customer with a phone call. Say, I'm super excited you bought this bike from us. As a courtesy, I want to confirm your sizing and make sure you got the right product for you. I want to kind of help you understand when we'll have that ready for you and how to pick it up. And I want to talk to you about our accessory bundle of our most common accessories, so you can get a water bottle, kickstand, seat pack, yada 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 on your bike. It's only $79 if you select it right now. Get some processes in place to try and get those add-ons on. It's good customer service and it'll save you headaches, because if you don't get in front of those bike orders right away, your phone's going to ring in 10 minutes and the wrong person's going to answer the phone. It's just going to tie up your staff. And then lastly, and Brandy and I have talked about this kind of before the meeting, engage your work from home staff. So a lot of bike shops, they have, some portion of your staff, full-time or part-time, are retirees. They don't want to be, in a retail environment right now. Another portion are college students. Well, they're back at home. So your staff is limited. If you've got staff that is trained but can't come into the office, train them right away on website order management and over the phone customer service, and start redirecting as much of that online business to those members of your team, and let that in-store staff handle that kind of higher than seemingly unmanageable amount of business. Give them a little bit of breathing room. So, we recognize that store operations are under strain. We're trying to solve some technology components of that. I'll tell you, we're working very closely with Ascend right now on some things related to both inventory frequency and order management. We're working very closely with suppliers on dropship programs. We're doing the best we can, but you need to recognize that technology is only going to get you some of the way. The rest of it's going to fall on you for operations. So what I really recommend is you really observe what are the log jams, and what decision can you make right now, with the information you have and the tools you have, to try and alleviate, some of the log jams. Make a decision, see if it worked, revise if needed. In software, we call that the kind of lean methodology. Build and then refine. And I believe that's what you need to do as well. It will pay off over the long term, because if you can build those efficiencies as best you can now, when the pressure eases off a little bit, you still know those log jams where they were. You know which of your kind of patchwork solutions worked or not. You can ask yourself, do I believe the assumption that Ryan made, that online is going to be a prominent part of my business for the foreseeable future? If I believe that, how do I alleviate these log jams in a more durable, systematic way? And then this is going to become a much easier part of your business over time. That's the end of my prepared remarks. I have 5 of my most common questions ready, but before I get into that, are there any questions from attendees?
There are a few, actually.
Yeah.
First one, how can we stand out online in comparison to large online retailers?
So it's a great question. I don't know if it's the question of the moment, and I might be wrong. If right now you said, I want to win searches for Bontrager Flare R tail light, I don't think you have time to tackle that strategic challenge in the short term. If you want to stand out when somebody types bike shop near me, that you can work on. But also, I believe the majority of the business that we're seeing right now is from existing customers going to local retail brands that they trust. So I don't know if you need to focus on that in this moment. I think focus on providing excellent customer service so those people that are flocking to your website will come back again. But to that middle point around winning bike shops online, the fastest thing you can do is go onto Google My Business and really just boost that profile with everything you possibly can. Photos of the store, updates on COVID-19 shopping, use everything you can on Google My Business because most of those bike shop near me searches funnel into that map function that Google has. And so if you are the dealer within kind of your market who has the best Google My Business footprint, and then when a consumer clicks on that and goes to your website and your website is clearly configured to serve their needs and it has commerce capability, I believe that's going to serve your needs in the near term. But in a future conversation, I'd like to come back to like over time, how do you stand out?
Do you have plans to work with Affirm Financing?
Nah, well, what I don't know is a firm. So right now we're pretty heavily down the path of working with a company called Klarna, which is a competitor to Affirm. They have more favorable rates to retailers, and they already have an approved integration with our payment processor, which is it's SmartEtailing payments powered by Stripe. Stripe is the same payment processor that works with Airbnb and Lyft and a number of other large transaction companies. So Klarna has an approved integration with them, so it lets us get a product to market faster and it's more affordable. We are running into a few roadblocks, so who knows, we may switch back to Affirm, but we're pretty far along, and our target is to release an online financing option in May.
That's great. Do you have any tips about how we can retain this new customer? Should we be doing what should we be doing post online sale?
For right now, focus on customer service. And then when you have a little bit of room to breathe, I think setting up some email automations would be good, or just, even if you don't have automations, if you're importing into a service like Mailchimp, you can segment that list by kind of date added. So you can say anybody that joined my email list within the last 30 days, I want to send them a special message. And you can send them a note that says, I'm just so grateful that you chose to do business with us. I love your long-term business. Whether you like it or not, usually in an email, if you have some sort of an incentive-based call to action, here's 10% off on your next online purchase, something like that. I think that will help. But in the near term, exceptional customer service. When somebody calls, make sure they talk to somebody who's qualified. If your bike builder is answering the phones, your customer's going to get pissed off. Have somebody trained, take care of them well, then the door's open for you to earn their business later. And I might be wrong. If I'm wrong about your business, because it may just be that the dealers calling me are the ones who are just trying to get through the day. If your business is different than that, and I'm not speaking to your needs, please find me later, and I'll give you really more appropriate feedback for where your business is at.
All right, one more. Does Smarty have an online chat function? And if not, how can I plug one into my website to take some attention off of my phone systems?
Love it. Great question. We do not have a natively built software, but we have a few that we've vetted. And if you just Google SmartEtailing integrations, you'll find a few that are on there. Or if you go into the help center, you can use a search function for live chat, and it talks about how to put that code on your website. But it is very common add-on right now, and you just use a third-party service and we'll help you integrate it.
All right, that is all the questions we have from attendees.
Sweet. And I forget, did we have an hour? Do I have time to go through a couple more?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, I seem to be talking fast today, so hopefully I don't go that long, but so this is the, everybody wants to predict the future right now. Is this a short-term trend? I'm going to give you my take, but add this to the thousands of other takes that you're getting right now. I think that this rapid spike is short-term, and so that is, all of society had youth sports and all these other entertainment options taken away from them, and cycling was a thing they could do. So this mad rush, I believe, does have an end to it. But I don't see those youth sports coming back this summer. I think there's still going to be a lot of restrictions. I believe that consumer engagement in cycling is going to stay high for a while. I also think that, and I read a lot on this topic, but consumer behavior around online shopping is going to stay more similar to how it is today than how it was in February. People are more aware than ever that if they walk into a store, when they touch the door handle, when they touch the screen, they know what that means now. So there's a lot of people that are just going to, shop online. And, if you look at what's selling online, my favorite thing is what they call, athleisure, which is a fancy code for sweatpants. So sweatpants are selling a lot. Uh, um, uh, home decorating, home decor is selling a lot. So people are kind of like saying, well, gosh, I want that new plant or pot for my plant, but I can't go to the nursery. Well, I'll just go online. And so a lot of people who weren't really necessarily engaged with this before are now seeing, well, shit, this works pretty good. Click and collect or curbside pickup works pretty good. So I think at a minimum, this type of shopping, so the split between where you're, if less than 5% of your transactions run your website in February, I would just be shocked if it's not 20 to 50% of transactions through the summer that are not happening on your website. So I think you need to assume that your website is going to be a cash register at least through the summer. But quite frankly, I believe it's going to last much longer than that. I think it appears that society is going to be impacted by concern about contagion. And then, excuse me if I got the word wrong. They're going to be concerned about that at least until there's a reliable vaccine. And that's going to be a long enough time to really change consumer habits. So I think this is a future of your business. I'll remind you that e-commerce is not what it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, it felt like an either or scenario. I'm an e-commerce seller or I'm a brick and mortar seller. Just please throw that out the window. You're a retailer, and you're a retailer who is accessible to customers no matter how they want to shop. So I would really commit to this and to whatever extent you can as a business. I don't have enough staff. I guess I kind of talked about this a lot earlier. I think focus on efficiencies. If you believe my assumption that this real peak does have an end to it, just, I'm so sorry, but stay in the trenches. Stay with the stress. Take care of yourself as best you can. Take care of your staff as best you can. It's going to ease, and you're going to be much better at it by the time it eases. But maybe use some of those things I said earlier about trying to just find some ways to engage trained staff to help you out. How do I increase add-ons? I talked about that a lot earlier, but it's primarily that customer service phone call afterwards. And I have heard that bringing back that kind of bundle, a lot of retailers moved away from that over the last couple of years. But for the moment, I would bring that back and just be prepared to say, if you get these 5 things, you get it for this one price, which represents a savings of this, and just put the consumer in a choice or in a position where they're just making one choice. It's hard enough to walk them from the bottle cages to the kickstands to the saddlebags. in the store. When you got them on the phone, it's way harder. So just give them one choice. Should I use dropship programs? Emphatically, yes. I'm going to assume most of the people on this call are in the U.S. If you're a truck retailer or a QBP retailer, use their dropship programs as much as you can. Please, in February, you might have had the mindset that if somebody orders a floor pump and I make 50 points on that floor pump, and if I use a dropship program, then I have to pay a service fee and extra shipping that may have exceeded the amount of shipping I charge the customer. And so that takes my margin down to 39 points on that floor pump. In February, that might have meant, you know what, I need those margin dollars, even if it takes the consumer longer to get the product. Today, the volume is too high. Take the slight margin hit on that fraction of your P&A that you use a dropship program for. And I want to clarify dropship. It's a very confusing term right now. A lot of suppliers are pushing dropship programs, and click and collect. If you are confused, if you think that dropship and click and collect only mean a transaction closes on a brand website and is fulfilled by the store, or closes on a brand site and ships to the consumer, please step back and reevaluate the situation. This is your business. Your website can close the sale, and with this, and either with some suppliers, like we'll use Specialized, for example, you can log into their B2B, place a dropship order, go back to SmartEtailing and update the order status. But retailers like Trek and QBP, the dropship programs are integrated with SmartEtailing. So when your order process, you can just click a button that says request fulfillment. Use it. It'll save you, it'll get the product to the customer faster. Time is one of your most valuable resources right now, so it'll save you time. But there's another piece to it. We, as the IBD channel, need to show brands that we can meet consumer online demand right now. I think you guys, or everybody on this call, you know the consequences of if we don't show that IBDs can meet this demand. If you just place a stocking order for a product that's sold on your website, the supplier doesn't know where that sale closed. They're just going to assume that a customer walked up to your door and you sold it. If you use their dropship program, they can report against it. You want the senior leadership at these companies seeing a daily report that shows dropship orders going way up. I promise you that will serve your business over the long term, and it will serve the group. If you want to contribute to IBD health over the long term, using dropship is going to be one of the best things you can do right now from your website. Show these suppliers how much you're selling so they can't ignore you. Should I just let brands sell for me? I feel pretty strongly about this. No, I mean, and it's nothing personal. I don't know a single person at a brand that has evil intent, but they're just trying to meet consumer demand. And if you're on this call and you have a SmartEtailing website, you're one of 20% of U.S. retailers that has an e-commerce enabled website. That means that 80% of your peers are not able to transact with consumers. So brands feel like they need to provide a path to consumers for those 80%. If you have an e-commerce enabled website, it is a horrible decision for you to direct your local customers to the brand's website to buy. You know how important it is for you to maintain a relationship with your local customers. Don't give that up. Capture that transaction, evolve your business. If you say, I'm going to let the brands take care of that for me while I focus on my in-store, you're forfeiting not just the transaction of the moment, but you're allowing your business to get complacent. And the world is changing. You need to get the online component of your business figured out. And the only way to figure it out is to do it. So don't push it off to tomorrow and say, I'll let the brand sell for me this summer and I'll get back to this in the fall. No, start now. That's it. Did any more questions come up?
No more questions.
Great. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ryan, and everybody on the call. If you are not an NBDA member, we encourage you to go to nbda.com, look at all of our benefits, join. You won't regret it. We would love to have you. Thanks again, Ryan.
You bet. Thank you.
Bye.